All right, friends, here we are checking out the city of Fountains. Oh man, I love this city. I really do. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a gray day like it is right now, or if it's a sunny day. This city still looks beautiful out there. I love it. Well, welcome to it as the birds are flying across our camera lens right there. Checking out the downtown metro. We've got ourselves a severe weather threat on deck when it comes down to today's forecast. Big updates, friends. Massive updates from earlier this morning all the way through up to around lunchtime this afternoon, around that noontime hour. And we're going to get into a deep dive here because, some of the models are indicating things. Other models are saying the complete opposite. Where do we lie with a severe weather threat? How intense is it going to get? Why is it getting that intense? That is what we're going to discuss this afternoon. Good morning to you guys, or I should say good afternoon to you guys. My goodness, I've been here since about 2 a.m., so I'm still on my morning time frame here. Well, good lunchtime to you. We've got a lot to discuss and obviously updates galore when it comes down to our severe weather risk. We've been talking about Saturday for the past several days. We've got new updates there for you to discuss. We also have new updates for a severe weather opportunity today. All morning long, it has been a severe weather risk on the marginal side, but around 8 o'clock this morning, we added a slight risk for severe storm activity to the area, and then by lunchtime, we plotted that slight risk for severe storm activity. So let's get into the model. Let's show you what we're talking about right now, and there it is. This is specifically for today, and as you can see, that slight risk does encompass most of the metro. About 90% of the metro is going to be under that. Portions of Leavenworth County are still under a marginal risk there, and then it moves over towards the Johnson County area, maybe half, kind of cut in half between slight and marginal, and it continues to build out for the eastern side of the viewing area. Now, this is where it gets more interesting because it's not just the slight risk kind of outline here that's updated. Have you noticed your severe weather kind of phenomena that we're looking at? All of a sudden, hail at 2 inches in diameter is about the same threat as tornado development. Now, we haven't budged on the hail threat, but we have budged on the tornado threat. We've actually started to see a bit more rotation to the atmosphere, at least the potential for it in our forecast models and the new raw data coming in with those future forecasts for us. And this has now pushed us to move that dial a little bit closer to a moderate risk. It's still under the low end right now, but it is a bit greater than it was about 4 to 5 hours ago. This is something that we want to take very seriously as we move forward in time. It's not just today that we're discussing. We're also going to monitor and discuss for Saturday's forecast. And this is where we have some very odd updates to discuss. There's a lot of discrepancies in our models, and they're trying to hone in on what's going to be more of an accurate forecast for you rather than one that's a little bit sporadic. But we are still under a slight risk. We are still about 99.9% of the viewing area under that slight risk. That has not budged since about 4 o'clock this morning. All right, so that's showing you that we do have confidence of getting into severe weather, at least on Saturday, potentially moving into our early Sunday morning. All right, so with all of that being said, let's get into one of our forecast models and break down this severe weather potential, right? Obviously showing you the whole kind of story for Saturday here, stretching still out towards Kansas and then right up into portions of Nebraska, Iowa, even getting into the Dakotas there, portions and sections of Minnesota. But I want to get you into our high resolution model runs here. That's the HER model run. Normally, this is pretty good at indicating inclement weather, such as severe storm activity. We actually like to put a lot of weight in this system. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and we go with the NAM system, which is more of an aggressive weather kind of forecast or algorithm that we use. But let's get into some timing here, pushing you forward into around 7 o'clock tonight. This is one of the reasons why right here I love showing this kind of model. It really shows and indicates why we're moving that dial for a tornado threat. So I'm actually going to get in here and kind of draw a bit with you guys on this map about what we're dealing with. I want to show you why we're seeing that maybe opportunity to move the dial on the tornado threat. Do you see that we have this kind of low pressure system that goes up and then all of a sudden curves down and kind of has this drape here? Do you see this kind of section right in here that we're looking at? That's that kind of curve or a bow that is being produced on that kind of low pressure, that center of storm activity. This may be the location that we start to see rotation. All right. Notice the colorations that we're dealing with this. We're talking about those dark pinks and magentas, dark reds, oranges, all very indicative of strong storm activity, heavy downpours, maybe some gusty winds of 50, 60, or even 70 miles per hour. And of course, the potential for hail development out there. I can't rule any of that out either. But these are the signs that we're looking at. And this is just showing you off around 7 p.m. Let me kind of sort of try to backtrack this a little bit like hour by hour for you. All right. So let's go ahead and kind of backtrack this to more closer to about 6 p.m. Slowly bringing this back on the dial because it's very, very sensitive, and it looks like it doesn't even want to push for me in that dial. So let me get back and reboot that forecast model for you because we lost it there for a quick second. So we're bringing you back now to 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And of course, we're still dealing with a few isolated showers and storms around the area, but nothing aggressive right now. But let me go ahead and start pushing this slowly forward. There's 2 p.m., maybe a few stronger storm cells trying to enter in near Donovan County and Holt counties here in this forecast model run. It becomes a bit aggressive off around Atchison County on the Missouri side. That's up there just before you go into Nebraska or Iowa, right there on the border. There's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe Nodway County in the Maryville region. Then by Buchanan County, maybe Andrew County's out there, St. Joe. We're getting into that 3 o'clock in the afternoon, potentially some strong storm cells. You can see those magentas finally starting to make themselves known. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we start to really amp up the speed and the energy of this storm system in this particular forecast. And as we get to about 5 o'clock, you can see how it really starts to develop. And the timing of this is really between 5 and 6 p.m. that we amp up this storm activity. So it is a very short amount of time that we see all of a sudden this major growth in the storm, which of course leads to maybe moving this storm faster than other portions of the storm system that creates that bow and that opportunity for some of those storm cells to maybe start to circulate on either end of the bow, which would allow for maybe tornado development or at least funnel clouds. So this is why we're watching out for this storm for today, right? Now, just as fast as it starts to develop, it moves out very quickly. By the time we get to about 8 o'clock at night, it's almost outside the viewing area here, friends. So if this does occur, it is a fast, short scenario that we're dealing with the severe weather activity. But we all know it does not take a lot of time to produce some serious damage out of severe storms, or of course, even getting into that tornado threat, all right? Doesn't take a whole lot of time at all. Just minutes can do some major damage, which is why we want to warn this to you first here. Let you guys know about it, get yourself a plan in place and prep for this kind of inclement weather. Now, so far, this particular model wants to show us that all of it kind of resides just north of the metro, but I still don't want to rule out maybe Platte County and that northern side of the loop, maybe around areas of KCI. So then it moves on out. And then it's quiet. And this particular model says, hey, look at that. You know, all morning long from yesterday morning, the day ahead, the day before that, all the way through back to Monday, we were talking about, oh, it's going to be maybe Saturday morning that we amp up some severe weather activity. No, what has happened is that we've backbuilt that threat for severe weather on Saturday morning in this particular model. And this says, no, we're going to see all of that energetic storm threat around the early evening tonight, and then there's nothing to be had for Saturday early morning anymore. It might be on the quiet side. This is what this algorithm is showing us. However, as we move forward in time, there's another storm system out there. There's a cold front that's up to the north. That's going to deepen south and kind of swing in as that area of low pressure moves out finally from the Central Plains. This is the same low pressure system, mind you, that has been across the Central Plains since Monday. It's been blocked and held in place by high pressure on both sides. We're finally moving high pressure and finally moving this low pressure system out. But it comes with major instability to the atmosphere and a lot of fuel, a lot of moisture content, a lot of warm air, a lot of lifting takes over. And these are all the perfect ingredients you need for severe weather threat. So let's move forward here. So now that front starts to come on in, and all of a sudden we get another southerly flow. This brings in more energy energy that comes in from the south and all that moisture content. And then all of a sudden we start to pour in another strong storm threat. This model indicates it's a line that comes in from the northwest, and by the time we hit about 11 p.m. at night, we start to see those storm cells populate. Moving forward into the wee early morning time frame of Sunday, 2 a.m., you can see literally a line that takes place here right over the metro, clear up into Worth and Gentry counties, even portions of Mercer and Grundy County, all the way back down towards Franklin and Miami counties. Now, again, this is an aggressive model that we're seeing here, but we do put a lot of weight in this particular model, the high resolution model, because it has done us well over the years here at KCTV5. It does a pretty good job of indicating that severe weather threat. Sometimes it's off by just an hour or two, but it's usually pretty good about its intensity as we move forward in time, right? Now, with all of that being said, we've still got time here, friends. We still have an update at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We still have an update at 5 o'clock in the afternoon when it comes down to the atmosphere. And like I keep saying to you every time that we do these live streams, the atmosphere changes second by second. We try to keep up with it. This is why we forecast and have educated guests and create these mathematical algorithms to best forecast and give you almost a hypothesis of what's going to happen with the storm activity. If we knew exactly what was going to happen at all times, we wouldn't be calling it forecasting. We would be calling it facting. Okay, and there's not necessarily a need for meteorologists if the program could do it for you. So this is something that we just continue to monitor on a literal minute-by-minute basis here. That's what we're doing here at KCTV5 and our Storm Track 5 Weather Center. Our other meteorologist, Warren Sears, is going to be in for us. We're in contact with Alina Lee as well to see if we can get double coverage of this as we move forward, especially for this evening as well. And of course, I'll be sticking around too just to make sure that we can get all of our bases covered here so you get all of the information, everything that you want and need out of this storm threat as we progress through the next few days here. But as I said, here's this forecast model run. It moves through Sunday morning. By the time we make it to mid-morning, we're done. Maybe a few isolated thunderstorms that roll on through, but again, lackluster on the severe weather threat, friends, because we've used all of the energy in the atmosphere. So whatever's left over here moving in around 1 o'clock in the afternoon is going to be a run-of-the-mill weak thunderstorm. But overall, a partly cloudy to mostly cloudy sky takes over for us as we make it on in towards our Sunday here. So that's the good news overall, right? And we see great temperatures after that and a drier pattern overall to the forecast. So let's go to another model, because this is not just, we have like 6 of them that we all look at very closely, and then we take in that raw data. So let's go to another one. This is the NAM model run, and this tends to be much more aggressive for us as we get into inclement weather that comes in close. Now, as you can tell, this is a little different compared to what our high resolution model is showing. This is still 5 o'clock in the evening, and it's still showing pretty close to the same location as our high resolution model, but it's a little bit different, right? It's not showing you this big bulk item of severe weather activity and maybe a hook. However, it is showing you these very aggressive storm cells, maybe just outside of St. Joe and Buchanan County, in between I-29 and 35. This can most definitely still produce an opportunity for rotation. We're just not seeing it so obvious in our forecast models here. But this is still showing you a little bit of agreement with each other here. So it looks like we've got 2 models trying to show you a reasonable time frame, almost lining up, and still showing you rather intense storm activity during that time frame. Let's move forward with this one as well, maybe around 7 or 8 o'clock. And as you could tell, it does the exact same thing, where it starts to move out by about mid-evening, and it still crosses through Livingston County, and then moving over towards the Sheridan County area, trying to get into northern central Missouri, but still producing those magentas, a very good indication of strong storm activity. Maybe this is just going to be those gusty winds at 60, 70, or 80 miles per hour. Maybe this produces that rotation that we were talking about, perhaps a funnel cloud. This is the kind of stuff that we're going to to be monitoring and tracking for very closely. But this is where our heads go as meteorologists here to get you prepped and prepared for. We want to make sure that you are safe, you're protected, and you got that vital information that helps you stay safe and protected. All right, so we're done with Friday. We're going to continue on with the NAM model into Saturday because this is showing some different signs for Saturday compared to our high resolution model. So let's move this forward. Saturday morning, nothing. So again, we've got some confidence here, right? Saturday early morning, just like the high resolution model, we don't have much going on now because we've taken all of that energy and we've back built it into Friday night instead of pushing into our early Saturday morning. So now there's really not much energy to use anymore at Saturday morning. So there we go. So we've got some confidence there. But let's check out what we've got for the severe weather threat into maybe early morning of our Sunday or late night Saturday, right? Because that's where we were showing big chances for some strong storm cells in our high resolution model. And that was literally stretching from Mercer and Grundy counties all the way back down towards Garnett. But look at this. Saturday night, not a whole lot. Sunday morning, maybe a couple of strong storms trying to mosey on into the forecast there. Does start to build up. Oh, okay. Maybe a few isolated severe weather opportunities, Atchison County, Buchanan County, but then it kind of just fades out. Heavy cloud cover. Not much with this wet weather threat. So this is picking up on different characteristics of data that comes in from our anodes that we send up into the atmosphere. Now, we don't at KCTV5 actually have these soundings, these special boxes that we take a weather balloon and we send them up from our roof. No, we take this information from the weather, from the National Weather Service and from the airport. They send up weather balloons. They get the raw data in the atmosphere, and we take that raw data from the atmosphere and we put it into all of these different type of forecast models. Each model has a different mathematical algorithm, meaning it takes different pieces of that raw data to produce a forecast model. This is why each model is different, because it's taking different pieces. That way we can get a better idea of what we're picking up across the entirety of the atmosphere and not just in one linear thought process, right? So that's what we want to do here. And this one says, meh, to Saturday night into Sunday morning. Now let's go to another one. Yeah, we've got another one. This one comes from, I think some of you guys know this company, IBM, one of the first computer companies and data companies in the country, right? To give you a little bit of backstory here, IBM actually went into business with the Weather Channel over in Atlanta and said, hey, we want a weather product. And we like your weather product, and we know we can do a better job with all of our computer scientists over here. So how about we buy your weather product and we make it better and then give it back to you as a product that you can use from us, IBM. Well, the Weather Channel said, show us the check. So they did. And they said, okay. So that's what happened. All of the weather data from the Weather Channel then went over to IBM, and IBM perfected it and gave it back to the Weather Channel and, of course, into WSI as well, which is a separate media company, or I should say Microsoft kind of company that produces our weather graphics here. And they have created their own kind of forecast model, and what they call it is the graph model. And that's the next one that we're going to show you. This one's rather interesting, because here we are at 8 o'clock in the evening, and you could see all of a sudden these storms, well, wait a minute, these storms are not even in the viewing area. They're moving east, they're out. So hold on, let's backtrack this. Let's go to maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, right? And that's where we were seeing some of those storms. Now this one says, maybe. Maybe we'll see a couple of storms, but nothing crazy. But we're going to push it more towards the metro. That's what we're going to do in this particular model. And then as we move forward in time to about 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, all right, some stronger storm cells. Maybe we'll get some severe weather, Odessa and I-70. Definitely looking out towards northern central Missouri, but it's outside the viewing area. And then it really opens up to that severe weather threat and maybe the tornado development well out towards the east. Now this, mind you, I'm going to bring you back to our severe weather activity. Notice the location that we're really producing maybe those stronger storms in this particular model. It's off that northeastern side of Missouri. extreme northeastern side. So let's go back to the severe weather prediction model from the National Weather Service for just a quick second. Let's bring that up here. Again, there's a slight risk. I know my box here, my video box and my face is kind of sort of blocking most of it. But do you notice up there to the northeastern section, we go from a slight risk all of a sudden to the green, which is a marginal risk. It's kind of sort of the opposite of what the graph is indicating. So again, models aren't perfect, right? They take different portions of that raw data with a completely different mathematical algorithm and they produce a different type of forecast. So even the IBM model is completely different and is showing something that really doesn't coincide with the Severe Weather Prediction Center from the National Weather Service. So it's a little convoluted there, right? So this is why we like to take in the skills and expertise of your local meteorologist, right? With the backing and the skills of years and years and years of experience and knowing these areas and how weather is produced, maybe around the Missouri River Valley, right? And when it comes down to it, I do believe that we're going to see that storm threat, and I do believe that it's going to be closer to around that mid-evening time frame. I'll set it up between about 4:30 and 7 p.m. to really ignite for us, and I think we'll have ourselves an opportunity for some severe storms. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that we can get rid of some of this instability and convection that we're expecting in the atmosphere around that time frame. And of course, if it does change, we'll let you know and explain why it has changed. That's how transparent we are. We want you to know everything that we know when we know it, right? So when it comes down to it, that is a graph that really doesn't produce a severe weather threat, the IBM model, compared to where we are with the severe weather prediction model. But this is where it gets even more interesting as we continue on. I'm going to bring you forward here to Saturday morning and Saturday night, right? So in this particular blend model from IBM, all of a sudden, Saturday early morning, whoa! This is still picking up the severe weather potential that we haven't seen in any other model so far for Saturday morning, which was forecasted on Monday for us, but had changed by Wednesday. So this might be lagging in information. Maybe it still wants to keep some of that raw data from previous hits because it sees something in its mathematical equation that says, no, I want to keep this in. But here where it gets rather interesting yet again. So Saturday morning comes and goes, and then we go into Saturday night. We get more severe weather. So now we're starting to see by 11 p.m. Saturday night, it's producing that front that comes through, which we're seeing in some of our forecast models and other graphs. And it's still that cold front. You could see the line that it creates here, right? And it's showing you the intensity. Now, obviously, the coloration on this particular forecast model is a little bit different compared to our other forecast model runs, but it's showing you the same kind of idea. What we do see out of all of the models that we literally have just shown you is that there's some form of activity Saturday night into Sunday morning. And there's a little bit of hesitation on what's truly going to happen early Saturday morning, okay? So we've got some confidence here. We've definitely got confidence that we've got some form of active weather on Saturday for you, but it may be towards the end of the day into early morning Sunday, possibly still coming in early Saturday morning, depending on what kind of severe weather activity we have here. This is why it is so difficult to forecast. This is why we've got this backing in mathematics. Myself alone, my major in meteorology from Florida State University. It's the third best university in the entire country for meteorology. We automatically minor in mathematics and physics. So you get a meteorologist, a mathematician, and a physicist. And with all of that being said, this is what we have to deal with on a daily basis, friends. It just gives you an idea that, you know, we're going through all of this raw data too. And sometimes, you know, it's a head scratcher for us sometimes. But listen, when it comes down to it, we want to make sure that you're safe. That is our number one priority. The last thing we want is for you to get hurt as inclement weather comes in. So we like to play it safe. We want to make sure that you have that information. We want to make sure that we're transparent. You see this data just as much as we do. I'm still calling for the potential of some severe weather for this evening. I'm still calling for severe weather coming in for our Saturday. Looks like it could be more likely into our Saturday night. but I still want you to be wary for early morning Saturday too. Maybe not as worrisome as what we're looking at for overnight Saturday, but obviously all of this can still change as we get new data that rolls on in as we make it to mid this afternoon. So heads up to that. That all being said, let's go ahead and talk about where we are at with the severe weather threat specifically for Saturday. I've got that for you right here. And it's just like almost the rubric that we have for today's forecast, but it's just specifically showing you the weather phenomena, not also the little severe weather prediction model, right? So wind, 58 miles per hour or greater. That's enough. That is the minimum you need, the criteria you need for severe thunderstorm warning to occur. You need wind gusts at 58 miles per hour or more. Look where we are on the rubric scale here. We're on the high side for it. And again, this is Saturday, looking more towards perhaps overnight into early morning Sunday. All right, large hail, quarter size in size, right? So the size of a quarter all the way up to a golf ball. We're at moderate chances to almost moderately high chances. And we're still keeping the tornado threat low, but it's lower than what we're dealing with today in our forecast models, which is why we've weather alerted you for today and we've weather alerted you for tomorrow. All right, so what we need to do is make sure that we have that plan in place. Make sure that you have a fully charged cell phone, right? That's what we definitely want, so you can continue to gather data as the storms rumble in. And what's a really good idea is to grab our weather app. The KCTV5 weather app is an amazing tool. Not only are you going to get play-by-play like we're doing right here, right now, but we also have updates, little video updates too, throughout the day as we get new data. And that's the first place that we put it if we're not live on television yet. We put that right on our app. We put that all over our social media so you get that information as fast as possible, so you know as much as we know in the moment. All right, so it's well worthwhile to get that. Obviously, you want to tune in with us. We're going to have another newscast coming in here at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. And if we do get into major severe storm activity, you can bet that KCTV5 will go wall to wall with you to protect you. Make sure that you know all that information. You can keep yourself and your family safe. That's what we're about here at KCTV5. All right, well, with that being said, that is all the information that I wanted to give you. I'm going to go into Facebook because I got that up live, and I'm wondering if we've got some questions or comments. I'm just going to go roll through this here. Looks like Dakota says, you deserve a vacation because you're doing a good job with the weather. That was very sweet of you. Thank you so much, Dakota. I appreciate that right now. Let's see. Dakota says, you know, the clouds are helping a lot. You know, that's true when it comes down to the temperature. Yeah, it is. You know, it keeps those temperatures on the lower side. We're only expected to get to the mid 80s right now at 125. It's 82 degrees. We're actually spot on to probably hit about 85, 86 when it's all said and done. And so far, that's exactly nail on the head where we were predicting to forecast for you, which means that we're probably going to put another $50 in the pot for our nonprofit organization that we're going to donate to at the end of the month. You know, last month we donated $1,100 on our accuracy that we had here. You know, it's our 3-degree guarantee. I love this. I love that we're doing this because obviously, you know, of course we're going to be accurate. That's what we strive for as meteorologists. It's just a cherry on top that our station decided that we're going to donate money every single day, put it in a pot and say, if we're this accurate every single day, we're going to give out this big money over to one of our wonderful nonprofit organizations right here in the local city. I mean, I think that's incredible. Not only that, but I got to admit, it's a go-getter kind of strategy for us. It strives us as meteorologists to do even more to make sure we're that accurate because we want to give to the community. And this is a great way to do it. So it's really excellent stuff. Rachel said, I missed what's happening tonight. Okay, so we are, yes. So we are going to talk about this. We're going to talk about it one more time about this evening, and we're going to go get into our severe weather threat. And the update is that now we're under a slight risk for severe storm activity. I'm going to put this up on our screen right now. There's the new slight risk for severe weather, and what has changed is that slight risk. We are now encompassing portions of the metro now instead of a sliver of it, but we have also pushed up that dial on the rotation threat, the tornado threat. It's still low, but it has moved that dial a little bit closer to maybe getting the size of 2 inches in diameter or greater on hail. And it's because of what our models are starting to indicate here. I'm going to just show you one of our models here for now, just to get you up to speed on what's happening tonight. Just gives you an idea of what may ensue between 4:30 this afternoon and about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. All right, so this is what we're going to be doing. As we move forward in time, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock, you can see it really wants to stick up around northern Platte County to Buchanan County. Notice that we really start to form up those magentas. Those could be very, very high cloud tops. We could be talking about a thunderstorm that's developing 30 to 40, maybe even 45,000 feet into the atmosphere. Just to put that in perspective for you, I believe your jetliners love to fly at about 36,000 feet. So if they don't climb higher than those thunderstorms, they would go through the thunderstorm. Yeah, that's how much these things are climbing and punching energy into the atmosphere for you. All right, then we get to about 6 o'clock. See that curve that happens here? This is because we've got so much wind to the mid-levels pushing on this storm that the storm below it is not moving as fast as the wind above it. So what happens is you get a bow that happens, and on either side of that bow, you can actually start to get little pools, almost like whirlpools that happen in the atmosphere. And maybe that starts up a spin. Maybe that starts up a funnel cloud. This is why we have started to bring up the dial a little bit on that tornado threat under this slight risk. And this is the timing that we're looking at. And really this window being about 4 o'clock all the way to about 8 o'clock at night. Because really by 9 p.m., bye. It's out of here. And then we start to hopefully see more of a quiet evening for all of us. But that short amount of time could still do some serious damage if we get to the intensity that we're seeing in our forecast model runs. So that's what's going on, Rachel. That's the information that we wanted to give you. Chris Reno says, what is the risk of tornadoes in the Kansas City, Missouri area? Well, when it comes down to it, it is kind of a big little blob that we have here. I say big and little because we look at it from a regional aspect from our Severe Weather Prediction Center that encompasses KCI and the National Weather Service. So they put a big splotch on a region of about 2 to 3% for tornado development. Now, you say, okay, well, wait a minute, Greg. 2%? Come on, man. That's like nothing. No, not to a meteorologist. For example, at 5%, if we get to a 5% chance for tornado development, it's like a red alert kind of situation. We're most likely going to see some form of rotation. It's not guaranteed, but we get to almost like a 75% confidence. So it's a higher threat. That's why we're telling you this when we get to that 2 to 3% kind of situation. And for that to pop on up, the region is more so towards that eastern side of the metro, and it kind of stretches out towards Richmond, Cameron, and then trying to get over towards the Livingston County area. Again, that timing being about mid-evening. All right. So I think that's where we're going to end it right now, giving you all of those updates. Thank you so much for these comments. Really appreciate it. But listen, friends, don't forget, we've got live newscasts for you at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And if there are any updates, we have got your back on social media. We have got your back on our Storm Track 5 weather app. You definitely want to get it. Another live look over the beautiful city of Fountains. Even though we've got those gray, ominous skies, it's still a pretty city to be in, friends. And don't worry, KCTV5 and the Storm Track